welcome back. A national campaign is raising awareness about Parkinson's disease through a scratch and sniff test. And here to tell us more about it is Gary Rafaloff and Dr. Stuart Isaacson. They're joining us this morning to tell us more about the signs of the disease. Dr. Isaacson, I'm going to start with you. For people who may not be familiar with Parkinson's, what exactly is it?
Well, Parkinson's disease is actually the second most common neurodegenerative disease of aging. Indeed, it's the fastest growing neurodegenerative disease. And it happens with it's tremor, slower movements, trouble with getting out of a chair and out of a car. It's really a movement problem we've thought for a very long time, but now we're aware it affects much more than movement. In fact, we think it may begin with problems with vivid dreams, acting and punching in the dreams, with constipation, and with the loss of smell. And it turns out this loss of smell can be a real clue in some people that they may be at a higher risk of developing Parkinson's disease.
Gary, tell us about your experience.
Well, as Dr. Isaacson just said, I experienced a lot of these early symptoms, like loss of smell and vivid dreams, without knowing that I had a neurological disease.
Yeah.
And with smell, it was interesting because I was a wine collector.
Oh, wow. Is that how you noticed?
Well,
One of the ways, yeah.
it was one of the ways I realized that I couldn't smell the wine, I couldn't taste what I used to taste, you know, distinguish between flavors. And it was more of a family joke that, you know, Dad had a bad sense of smell. I never realized that it could be associated with it.
So how did you come to realize?
Well, I actually went 4 or 5 years with a number of early symptoms and went to many doctors without being diagnosed. And it was interesting because doctors never asked questions about sleep or smell. And it wasn't until I developed a tremor in my left hand and my arm that I finally went to the neurologist and they diagnosed it as Parkinson's disease. And for me, it was actually a good news because I was able to finally start taking some medication that controlled some of these early symptoms.
Right. And Dr. Isaacson, I mean, knowing these symptoms early on, it's critical, and this test helps?
Well, it's so important for us to make an early and accurate diagnosis. So we have so much research going on trying to find molecules to slow the progression or to stop it or reverse it. We have to diagnose it first. And many people, like you heard from Gary, wait a year or two before they get an accurate diagnosis. But nowadays we have gene testing that can look for certain genes that can cause Parkinson's. Can be done at no cost and anonymously. We do it at our center in Boca Raton. We have a skin biopsy that can look for Parkinson's. A special type of dopamine brain scan can look for Parkinson's. And we're looking for a biomarker in the blood or the urine or the spinal fluid or other brain scans. And that's what this Michael J. Fox Foundation sponsored research program called PPMI is. It's looking for people over the age of 60 who have new Parkinson's diagnosed or healthy controls and don't have Parkinson's to do a smell test and to see if they're at risk of developing Parkinson's so we can find something.
So how does that test work?
Well, much like children have this scratch and sniff, these are a little booklet where it's just sent to you for free. You go to mysmelltest.org.
That website's right there up on your screen right now?
They get this booklet and you scratch it with the pencil and you smell and you mark down your answers, it's multiple choice, and you mail it in. And if you're in the lowest 15% of people, and we need 10 or 20, 30,000 people around the country to do this, to find those 15% at the lowest, you'll have an opportunity to see if you want to be involved in trying to find a cure for Parkinson's.
And this is for people over the age of 60, this
Yes.
test?
Yeah.
Okay, why
Without
is that age
Parkinson's.
critical?
Yeah. Well, about 10 or 20% of people under the age of 60, in their 40s or 50s, develop Parkinson's disease. Michael Fox is a good example.
Yeah.
But most people develop it as they approach the age of 60 and into their 60s and 70s, and sometimes later in the 80s and 90s. And we would love to understand why some people get it earlier and some people get it later. So we could figure that out. We could hopefully make everybody get it later or very late or
And
never.
by doing this test early on, does it help in being able to diagnose the disease faster and maybe get some possible treatment and medication like Gary did?
We really think so. The normal brain makes normal dopamine, an essential neurotransmitter. And when the dopamine levels fall about half, tremor comes out. But we know the disease is there a year or two, or maybe even 5 or 10 years earlier. Geez, if we could find people who have this early disease before they have symptoms and try to slow the progression then, that would be a real benefit, not only for each individual person, but for their families, their caregivers, and also for society, because this is an enormous financial burden.
Well, we thank you both for being here. And Gary, I'm so glad that you're doing better and feeling better. If you want more information, you can head to our website, WPBF.com. We've put all of that there for you. Just go ahead and search Parkinson's disease.